Okay, our next tutorial builds on what we've learned so far. We're going to be again sending a text value to a text field, except we're going to be replacing that value every time we make a new choice. So let's get started. Open up a new file. It's going to be an ActionScript3 file. Hit OK. And it's the same setup we've been using, where we've got our timeline and our actions in the same palette, our stage, and our tools. Okay, so let's start off with organizing our layers. My first layer is going to be called graphics. My second layer is going to be called buttons, plural. My third layer is going to be called text field. And my top layer is going to be called actions. Again, actions is where I'm going to place all of my code so that everything can stay organized. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a button. Same way we've done in the last couple of tutorials. Okay, shows up in my library. Great. I'm going to call this button 1. I'm going to copy it. So edit, copy, edit, paste, or Command V. And again, I'm going to paste another one and another one. Great. Select all those, roughly center them there. Okay, these are each buttons. That's button 1. I'm going to change this one so it's got the instance name button 2. This is going to be instance name button 3. And this is going to be instance name button 4. Okay, so each is a different instance, even though they are referencing the same graphic. So you'll notice if I need to change this, if I run this, nothing's happening. Okay, because we haven't added any code and there's no overstate. But if I edit one of these and I add in an overstate that turns purple, when I roll over it, you'll see that happens to all of them because it's an instance of the same graphic. So I edit one of them, it changes all of them. Okay, great. Alright, so there's our buttons. Now, just to make these look a little different so I know which is which, I'm going to add on my graphics layer. I'm actually going to bring this in front here, and I'm going to add just some labels. So this is going to be a static text. Delete this. Okay, so just when you're making text, the last setting that you used, so in the last tutorial I created a dynamic text field, so when I just clicked, you'll notice it started as a dynamic text field, which would be one that I'd be adding text to. I don't want that for this in this case. I want to have a static text, which is just going to be a label. So I deleted that one and I'm going to remake it. Here I'm just going to put the number 1. I'm going to bump this font up a little bit, not that big, and then I'm going to put it in place. Okay, I'm going to copy this and paste it. I'm add in number 2 here. Use my arrow keys to center it. Paste another one. Double click to edit it, select it, type 3. Use the arrow keys to arrange it. Paste another one. Double click to edit it, select it, add 4, use the arrow keys to arrange it. Okay, now you'll notice that this is in the wrong layer. I should have these all on the graphics layer. So I'm going to edit, cut all of those, go to my graphics layer and edit, paste in place. It's going to put them in exactly the same spot but on the layer above. So you can see there's my labels and these are the actual buttons. Okay, now I don't actually need these here. These are just so that we can identify the different buttons. I'm going to lock them for now because I'm not going to be doing anything else with those numbers. They're literally just labels so we can see what we're doing. Okay, again, we've got these buttons and that's all we've got so far. We're going to add in a text field. This time we're going to want it to be again, we'll create a label. We're going to put it on the graphics layer. So let me unlock that. I'm going to create a little label here that says you chose. Change that font so that it's not white so that I can see it. I'm going to make it black, and I'm going to I was going to choose a different font, but this will do for now. Okay, so there's our label, and below that, this time I'm going to create a dynamic text field, and I'm going to select this, maybe move it down with my arrow keys a little bit so it's not on top. Okay, now it's black. It's got a font size of 29, which is, let's take a look at how big that is. If I double click this, that should be big enough, so that'll be okay. I could bump it up if I wanted to make it 40. Okay, and now when anything gets added in there to that size, that's fine. Okay, we're going to add a instance name to this, so this will be called choice. Okay, so now we've got our setup. Now, I'm not sure if you can guess what we're going to do here. Well, I've got this on the wrong layer. Edit, cut, go to my text field, edit, paste in place. Okay, so we're sort of set up here right now. We've got our actions which have nothing. There's no action on this yet. We've got a text field which is here. The text field has got a instance name which is choice. We've got graphics which are just labels. Okay, these are just these guys here. You chose and 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to lock those because we don't need that. And then we finally got our buttons, which are down here. Okay, and the buttons are the same graphic referenced a number of times from here. Okay, go back to our properties. What I need to do now is I want to, like we did in the last tutorial, I want to send some text. When I click a button, I want to send it to this text field. So using the same code that we did last time, I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to go to my code snippets, and I'm going to say that I want to use an event handler. The event handler is going to be a mouse click event, so when I double click this, it's going to apply it to button 1. We get the instructions that we've been given before. That just tells us again that the mouse click event, which is here, says that when you click on any specific symbol, so I clicked on this button here, it executes a function where you can put your own code. So we're going to delete this because we don't need the instructions. We know what this does. So I'm going to delete all of this. Okay, now again we've talked about how this works. We've done this already once. What's happening is it tells us that button 1, which is this button here, has an event listener added to it. It's a mouse event listener for a click. It's going to run a function, and the function here is identified as FL mouse click handler. And when this happens, so when I click on this button, it runs the function, and the function says do this stuff, the stuff that's between these brackets, do all of this. Now these are instructions, so we don't need those, and these are instructions, so we don't need those. And so now we can see that our actual code is just trace mouse clicked. Okay, I'm going to change mouse to 1 because this is our first button. Let's test and see what's happening right now. Command enter. Oh, I gotta fix my fonts. Let's do that right now. You'll remember when we have a dynamic text field that we have to embed all of the font information because Flash doesn't know what letters and fonts and whatnot are going to get used. Because I'm only going to be using numbers, I could just click on numerals. In fact, that's what I'll do for now. I'll just click on numerals, hit OK. That should work. Alright, let's test that. Command enter. Alright, so we've got you chose 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then when I click on 1, it says yes, 1 was clicked in our output because we had a trace right here that says trace into my output window, 1 clicked. Now we want more than that. We now know that the function is running. When I click, it gets recognized as an event and it runs this function, and the function is this. It says, hey, do this thing. Okay, fine. I want to do more than just trace this, so I want to do something more specific. I want to tell Flash to send a value to this, which is called choice. So choice, which is the instance name of this guy right here, okay, choice. Choice dot text is going to be equal to, open quote, 1 semicolon. I'm going to comment this out because I don't need that per se, and test it. Okay, I click on 1, and what should happen, hopefully, We get 1. You chose 1. Nice. Now these don't do anything, but you can probably guess what we're going to do now. I want some other functions, and I want those functions to be applied to these buttons. This one's called button 2, this one's called button 3, and this one's called button 4. So I can simply go down to my actions, copy all of this, and paste it. And I'm going to change this to button 2, and I'm going to change this to say choice is going to be text 2. Now the only thing we have to address is that when button 1 is clicked, Flash recognizes that an event happened. And when that mouse click event happens, it runs a function. This function is called FL mouse click handler. The problem that we need to address is that this function is called FL mouse click handler, but so is this. Okay, these are the same name. So we need to differentiate these somehow. So we're going to just add a _1 to this name, _1, and we're going to add an _2 to this name, and _2 to this name, which means when we click on button 1, when Flash notices a click, it's going to run this function _1, and here's that function right here. It's named the same thing, and it gives us these instructions. Okay, same thing's going to happen here, except replace 1 with 2, 1 with 2. Alright, let's test this and see how it's going. No errors, which is good. I click on 1, it sends 1. I click on 2, it sends 2. Beautiful. So the rest of this you can probably guess. I'm going to copy this, hit enter, paste, hit enter, paste. I'm going to change this to a 4, the name to a 4, the name where it's defined to a 4, and the text that gets sent to choice to a 4, and then finally the same thing on this guy here, 3, 3, 3, and we should be good to go. Click on 1, we send 1, we send 2, we send 3, we send 4, and whichever one we send, it remembers or it sends that information to our text field. Pretty easy, pretty basic. There's actually no new information here. We're just applying what we learned in the previous tutorial in a somewhat new way. And you can start to see, hopefully, how this might apply to a game scenario where you are choosing information, or maybe you're making a choice, and the computer has to recognize that yes, you chose 1 or you chose 3 or whatever your choices have been. And we'll talk about how we're going to use this in the next tutorial. Okay.